All right, so today I'm investigating an old sighting. This was not exactly a cryptid, but an unusual animal for this area. This is a part of the Skokie Lagoons, or connected to the Skokie Lagoons. It's an area called Turnbull Woods. And several years ago, there were multiple credible sightings of a cougar in this area, which have not really been seen in these areas north of Chicago for quite some time. Now, I did an investigation at the time that it happened, and I didn't find anything, but I figured it might not hurt to give it another look. So, this is a heavily populated area, but the area that I'm in specifically is actually off limits to the public. I gained special permission to be back here and walk through this area, and there is clearly some human traffic out here. I'm finding some broken branches and such that look like they were done by humans. I think the local forest preserve or botanic garden does some upkeep here, removing dead wood and such, but it is clearly less traffic than any of the public trails around here. So if there were a cougar hiding on the North Shore, this would be where it is. So with that in mind, I'm going to search a little bit more out here and let you walk with me a bit. I'm just basically going from dead tree to dead tree here, looking to see any kind of sign of maybe something using it as a den, or maybe some unusually large paw print. I wish I had the rest of my team with me here. We may come back with them later, but this is kind of a quick excursion for me just to check things out. One of the challenges I'm facing here is that there is water everywhere. We're going through, we followed a heavy snowstorm with really nice weather, so everything's melting, and this is basically a swamp, and I'm trying desperately not to get stuck out here. So I'm walking the balance beam on boards like this and trying to get to these locations. So as we look around here, again, this tree's been down for quite some time. I'm not seeing any animal scat. I'm not seeing any signs that anything was burrowing under this. So I'm going to make my way over to some of the fallen branches over here. Again, trying desperately not to sink into the swamp. All right, I got a lot of water over here, but luckily the tree fall is just before it. Now see, this would be a nice little den. Yeah, and if you look at those leaves down there, I don't know if you can see it or not, but they look compressed, as if something has been sleeping under this or laying under this. Now, in all fairness, there are deer out here, there are coyotes out here, there are lots of animals native to this area and expected to be in this area that could be using this as a den. But it could also be what we're looking for. So I'm just going to look a little more closely and see if we can see any prints. Because in this soft ground, something should have left a print. The leaf cover is making it a bit more difficult. I see lots of indentations as if something were standing there, but the leaf cover is making it impossible to see the shape of the print. See, there's a really nice indentation there. And if that's a print, that's a really wide print. I mean, that's too wide to be a coyote, too wide to be a deer. And if that's a cougar print, that's a big cougar print. And there's another indentation right there, and another there. I think I've definitely found the trail that this thing walked on. Question is, which direction was it going? Well, I'm going to follow it this way and see what turns up. Okay, I'm back on the other side of that tree. I think I've picked up the trail. I'm seeing regular indentations here Again, I can't make out a print well enough to tell if it's a canine print or a feline print. I just know that something fairly heavy with 4 feet walked through here, or 4 legs, I should say. They don't actually have feet. Okay, there's a little bit of scat, but that's small animal. I'm also not a good enough tracker to tell you how old these prints are. I mean, these could literally be from yesterday, or they could be from, you know, before the snow started falling in the fall. So my apologies on that. I will try to get better at it. I'm sure my father, being the great hunter that he was, is probably turning over in his grave that I'm not better at this, but I'm working on it. Okay, so I was following those footprints, and they led to what appeared to be a small game trail, which has more or less dead-ended at this fallen tree. Again, these darn leaves are in the way. I was really hoping I could get a clear print in the mud here. Again, lots of indentations. I feel like there's been a lot of something walking around down here. No human footprints, though, which is surprising. I guess maybe they don't do as much upkeep on this area in the winter. But if you look around, you can kind of see civilization isn't that far off. There's a clearing over there on the right. But this particular area is fenced off from the rest of civilization. So, again, not a lot of traffic out here. All right, I see another fallen tree over there. I'm gonna just make my way towards that and see if we can see any more evidence of something denning up over there. Not as encouraged with this part of the trip. Not seeing as many indentations, and I'm walking through a lot of prickers here that are making me think that animals wouldn't be too terribly fond of running through here, but I'm gonna keep going anyway. There's a nice little clearing around this tree. Lots of leaves again, but otherwise this is wide open space here. Wow. If I were any kind of a decent sized animal, I think I would be calling this place home. You got a nice little cave made of leaves in there. Could protect you from the elements. I am a little stunned that there's not something sleeping in here. Maybe I scared them off with all my stomping around in the woods, but I didn't hear anything moving either. If you look, there's a lot of fallen trees here with a lot of similar habitat. Yeah, wow. I'm not even seeing a lot of sign of anything having been in here, and that kind of surprises me. Let's see if we can get a little closer here. Maybe an indentation or two from a paw print. I can't really tell. It's certainly not the kind of activity I saw at the other tree. Again, maybe animals just didn't want to go through that wave of pricker bushes to get here. I'll tell you, it wasn't pleasant for me either, so I certainly wouldn't blame an animal who isn't wearing heavy clothing for not wanting to go through there. I'll check around a little bit more. All right, I think I found the paths here. The indentations around here make this look like an animal superhighway. Also seeing some bigger tracks that are almost certainly human. You know, one of the benefits of hunting cryptids and critters in northern Illinois is that I am within cell and GPS range, which could come into play soon because the sun's going down and I don't know if I have enough time to make my way back before it gets dark. But we shall see. All right, here we go. Wow. This is... Let me make sure of what this is before I comment on it. I can't can't tell if that's mud or if that's ash. I think this is charred. I think somebody lit a fire out here. Yeah, it looks like the bottom side of this log is charred too. So I don't know if this was burning brush piles, some sort of a controlled burn, or maybe this was a homeless person out here. Maybe this was, you know, just somebody choosing an odd camping site in the North Shore. But yeah, this was fire, and this might also explain the lack of animals in this immediate area. I think I see another charred piece of wood over here. I'm gonna see if I can get a little closer. Yeah, from a distance I couldn't tell if this was waterlogged or burnt, but now it is clearly burnt. And I see more signs of charring through here. As I mentioned, this area is managed by the Cook County Forest Preserve and the Botanic Garden, so I am guessing that what you're seeing here is an area of prescribed burn. So if I were a cougar, I would not be in this area. So I think I have wandered out of the area where we had our best chance to see a cougar. So I am going to make my way back towards civilization and hopefully get there before it gets dark. If I see anything interesting along the way, I will let you know. Okay, so I'm just taking a moment to look at this moss here. One of the things my dad taught me, and I'm not offering this as fact. I'm offering this as something my dad told me, because he was a wonderful, skilled outdoorsman, but he was also a bit of a storyteller. So sometimes separating fact from fiction with him was an adventure. But he always told me that if you find moss like this growing on a fallen tree in the woods, it means that something, animal, human, or whatever, has been urinating on that spot a lot. It's what the Mountain Monsters group would refer to as a pee post. So with that in mind, I'm paying a little extra attention here. Plus we got some soft ground here where we can maybe see some indentations. Yeah, like that there. That looks to me like a coyote print. It's old, but I'm willing to bet you that is a coyote print. And I see some more over here. That the prints are worn, but they are canine looking. So, you know, good work, Dad. I think you were right on this one. I'm hoping that spotting the coyote prints by the moss redeemed myself a little bit with my father, because the whole time I was looking for the cougar back there, all I could hear is his voice saying, "If you can't track a cougar through woods that light just because of some leaves, you ain't no son of mine." But I think I've regained my place. My nickname as a child, when I used to go through places like this, was the Tank, because I often didn't bother with things like trails. I would just go smashing through the woods, and being a bigger guy, there wasn't much that could slow me down. And that is clearly the method I'm using on the way out here. I lost the trail some time ago, so I am just smashing and stomping my way through these woods, heading in the vague direction of my car. My one rule here is that I do not want to step in water deeper than my boots, because I hate walking with wet socks. So far I've been successful, but I'm reaching the more watery portion of this journey, so we'll see if I can pull it off. I'm at the back side of that first den that we found. Not seeing any tracks at all back here. Well, I take that back. There may be one. But certainly not the kind of highway I saw leading up to it. So I think it was clearly entering from the side that we entered from the first time. Okay, so no cougar. Possibly some intriguing tracks. Some pretty strong evidence of coyote, which we knew were out here. But all in all, a fun walk through the woods. Hope you enjoyed it.